Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen. Gannon ball!
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.
Hey, it's Southwest Bias live from Studio K. Brought to you by our friends at Circle K. And if you want to become a member of the Inner Circle, it's super easy. Download the Circle K app today and put in your phone number, and you become a member of the Inner Circle. And yeah, we're talking some Cardinals today here on Southwest Bias. And yeah, it's time for Gannon Ball, because Jonathan Gannon was like that chef on Chopped last year. They gave him a basket, and it included a stale Twinkie, some Velveeta cheese, and a half-cooked hot dog. And he wound up giving you the most beautiful meal, well, maybe not the most beautiful meal, but an edible meal that you never thought would come out of that. His defense, despite not having talent, performed at a high level, 15th in points given up, 14th in sacks, 7th in forced fumbles, 13th in rushing yards against. But he did that with next to nothing in the basket, all right? I mean, let's be honest. He had very little talent on that defensive line to help him succeed. Last year was a testament to how good Jonathan Gannon is as a defensive coach in the NFL, how his schemes can take guys who maybe aren't at the top of the skill set and make them quality players at an NFL level. Let's take a look at what that defensive line looked like last year in 2024. I mean, this was not a pretty sight here. Gardeck, Nichols, Lopez, Jones, and Zaven Collins. Like, this was not a defense that you would write home and a front seven that you write home and say, this team is going to dominate. In fact, most of the talk all last year was, how in the heck are you going to sack the quarterback? How in the heck are you going to get any pressure on the offense of your opponents? And somehow he managed to. But guess what? Monty Ossenfort hit the grocery store this year. And we're not talking about Food City. We're talking about Whole Foods. He went to the good stuff. He spent the money and got the ingredients. That means Jonathan Gannon is going to be able to make one hell of a meal this year. He's going to be able to implement his defense with talent that aligns with it, with guys that can actually make a difference, get pressure on the quarterback. And I think that they took that defensive front, which was one of the bigger weaknesses, and turned it into one of the biggest strengths for this Cardinals team, and a reason why they will be able to compete in the NFC West and maybe make some noise in the playoffs in the NFC. Let's take a look at what that defensive front looks like now. Yeah, you ain't dealing with that chop basket no more. You got Sweat, Robinson, Tomlinson, Calais Campbell, Browning. This is a defense worthy of a mastermind of Jonathan Gannon's skills. Sweat was the big addition this offseason, a guy that's familiar with Jonathan Gannon and what he's able to do, a guy that can come in and help continue to institute that system that Gannon's brought in over the last few years and get this team up to par. I think they're going to be a top 5 defense this year and a top 5 defensive front. I think this is a completely different ball game than we've been talking about the last few years. And this defense is going to put pressure where we have not seen it since Gannon's been here. And Gannon talked about Sweat joining the team and what he expects from him.
from a standpoint of like what his job description is, that's not going to change much. You know what I mean? So then it's just tweaking his game. You know, there's some differences than what we did, you know, with him when I was with him to what we do now. You know, he picked it up quick, you know, and hopefully it's for the betterment of him too, you know. So he's going to be really cool to get going on in camp and games and stuff like that. I know he can impact the game, which is one of the reasons we signed him. And he's done a great job with, I wouldn't say mentoring, but guys pick his brain, you know, about certain things. And he'll help in that way too, because he's played a lot of ball and he's been successful. So I always say, you want to learn ball, talk to the players, you know, and he's one of those guys that you can talk to, and he gives a different viewpoint than Nick or I or Matt Feeney does, you know what I mean? He's got some viewpoints on things, so he'll help in that way too.
They've got the right mix of guys like Sweat who are in their prime and ready to do some damage. Young guys and guys that are veterans like Calais Campbell that can really mentor and change the game this year. I love what Jonathan Gannon has done in his first few years in the desert, but I am beyond excited about what they are possibly able to do this year by giving him the tools to do what he does best. If this defense is anywhere near what we think that they can be, I think the sky is the limit for this team, because we know the offense has the weapons. We know Kyler Murray has the ability, but when you keep them on the field and getting the ball back to them in good field position, it's going to change everything for this Cardinals team. Jonathan Gannon is going to be in basically coach heaven with what he's got and the tools that he's got in front of him. And I can't wait to see the schemes that he cooks up and that delicious meal that we're all going to be able to enjoy. Because no longer are we eating stale Twinkies, Velveeta, and half-cooked hot dogs. We're eating filet mignon. But maybe that's just my Southwest bias. Time to welcome in the mustache behind the Mac, the one and only Shane Diefenbach. And I'm not going to out you, but I know you're not a Cardinals fan first.
Yes, I am.
Are you terrified of this defensive front if you're a fan of other NFC West teams?
Yeah, this defensive front should strike fear into you. And I know, like, signings like Calais Campbell, you look at and you're like, age, whatever. But you also have to think about, one, the impact he has off the field with his team because of how much he loves this organization. But two, what you had last year compared to this year. A guy like him goes a long way, and not to mention the top end talent. I mean, how long has it been since the Arizona Cardinals made a big splash signing, specifically with a premium position on defense?
I mean, J.J. Watt,
yeah.
And even that was tail end of the career, J.J.
Yeah,
Watt.
but how much of an impact did that make?
A huge impact, because just even though he wasn't necessarily in his prime, he was a guy that could come in and be a leader on that defense and still had enough in the tank. I think Sweat has a lot of prime in front of him and can be a guy that's a leader as well. You heard Coach Gannon talk about how the other guys are picking his brain because he was in this system. I love that. That's another guy that can help solidify what Gannon wants to do.
Of course, the one question with Sweat is, how is he going to perform when he's not on the best defensive line of all time, basically? True. You know, you have guys around him, and that's going to help for sure. But we saw how successful he was and how amazing his Super Bowl was. But that's because he wasn't getting attention as the top pass rusher on that defense, though he might have been. Now you are that, and you are going to get doubles, and you are going to get the most attention on the field all the time, and we'll see how he performs. But that's why you go out and get these guys. And I think a really underrated part of this defense and a really slept on topic this year has been Darius Robinson. Like, we didn't really see him play last year, and I know he did, but even when he was on the field, you can't say that he was all there because of what he had gone through with the injuries and the personal stuff. So a guy like him, where you used a top pick, and I mean, shoot, I've been out there at practice. I've seen the guy. He's massive. Yeah, it should be a really fun experiment.
I feel like, you know, if I'm that defensive front, it's not the Rams that scare me or anybody in the NFC West. It's health. It's, can you stay healthy? Can you stay on the field? Because if they can, I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to compete in every one of these games. They're going to get pressure on the quarterback. Stafford and Darnold up in Seattle. I don't think, even Brock Purdy to an extent. Those are guys that if you can get pressure on them, you've got a chance. And we saw Sam Darnold in the playoffs. If you get pressure on him, it can fold.
He is two different quarterbacks. He is top 10 in efficiency and EPA per play when he's kept clean, and he's, I think, a bottom 7 quarterback when he's not. So, and that doesn't even have to be Josh Sweat, as Schaff says. You look at the interior of the defensive line. Yeah, you shore up that interior to stop the run, but you also are going to hope that Walter Nolan's going to be able to get home, because we saw it a ton at Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, what the potential that he brings too. I mean, you talk about what Sweat can do, but if Nolan can live up to some of this hype and can do what they hope he can do, he doesn't have to be a complete finished product this year. But if you see flashes of this greatness that they believe this kid will bring to the table, you could be really good. You could be dangerously good if he can get to the quarterback the way that they think that he'll be able to this year. And I know a lot of people have talked about how much they like Jonathan Gannon, but I have been thoroughly impressed with everything I've seen from him from a coaching standpoint, everything I've heard from him. I said yesterday that, Jordan Ott kind of reminds me of Jonathan Gannon, and it's that workman attitude. It's that approach to the game. He's a football sicko. He's a guy that wants to talk ball, wants to look at tape, wants to be in that coach's room, drawing up whatever it takes and working with his staff to make this the best football team possible. And to think, where they were last year at 6-4 with an opportunity in the NFC West to win it, they learned valuable lessons. I know nobody wants moral victories, but last year is the kind of thing that prepares you to take that step this year, and you got the pieces in place to do it. Want to remind you, hit that thumbs up. It helps us when you do that. Also, subscribe if you're not subscribed to the page. Leave a comment. We'd love to have you as part of this. Leave a super chat as well. And coming up tomorrow on the program is our voicemail bag. We're going to take your questions. We're going to take your comments. You can call or text at 480-535-0425. That's 480-535-0425. Leave a comment here. If you're a diehard, leave a question and or comment in the Discord. I'm answering all of them tomorrow. I don't care if they're sports related. I don't care what they are. I will answer all of them tomorrow on the program. So get yours in as soon as possible. You can tweet me at Espo if you want as well, or at PHNX_sports. Shane, are you ready for voicemail bag Friday? I heard some other people might try to sneak some questions in.
I'm a little scared.
I'm not. I'm ready for anything any of you can bring, including the staff here. On the other side of the break, you know what? I'm also the general manager here at PHNX. And sometimes some of the people around here make me a little angry. So it's time to pass a little judgment on each of them after this. Branded Bills. I am a hat aficionado. I love me some hats. Over 70 of them at my house. Had to build a special container in my closet just to hold all my hats. And you know what? Most of them are becoming Branded Bills hats, because there's not a better looking hat or a more comfortable hat than Branded Bills. And you know what I really love about it is their material in this summer heat. It doesn't soak through. It doesn't get that gross sweat stain. It's fantastic. So if you want to get a Branded Bills hat, you're going to head to brandedbills.com. But that's not all. I'm going to need you to use the promo code BBPHNX. And I talked to him and I said, we got to up this percentage. I said 10's nice, but 15's better. So if you put in that code BBPHNX at brandedbills.com, you're getting 15% off your first order of headwear and apparel. So head there today. Me love Circle K. That's Nookie Monster's first appearance here. Hey, Nookie. Hey, Espo.
No.
You know what I love? Me love Circle K. Me part of Inner Circle. Me love it. All I had to do was download Circle K app, put in phone number. You have a phone number, Nookie? No, me used yours. Sorry. But I get 3 cents off gas now after I got 25 cents off per gallon in my first 5 fill-ups. I'm not that Espo level yet. Yeah, Espo level, you're going to get 5 cents off per gallon. You're going to love it. Let me take the rest of this, Nookie. We appreciate it. But you're going to get 79 cents off Polar Pops. Me love Polar Pops. 99-cent Frosters, all right? You want a cool drink, you're going to get that. Not just that, though. You deplenish on electrolytes. Me deplenished on electrolytes. Then you're going to get 3 for $5 Gatorades, those 24-ounce bottles. So join the Inner Circle for free today by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Time to pass some judgment. It's time. Oh, wow. I can get my hair in there real well. It's time to pass some judgment here on a Thursday. And this whole new segment is simple. We're going to play takes from some of our favorite PHNX personalities and maybe eventually people outside of PHNX. And I'm going to pass judgment on whether their take was good or not. And then after I issue the verdict, I'm going to issue a punishment as well. And our first one, I know we got a lot of our Cardinals fans here. Our first one is from Johnny Venerable of PHNX Cardinals.
As we approach draft season, it has come to my attention that some of you may have forgotten the end game in Arizona that requires Cam Scatterbo be a Cardinal. Now, the good news is Johnny V's here to educate, so buckle up.
Yeah, Johnny, you didn't educate any of us. That was a draft take, obviously, where Johnny was all in on Cam Scatterbo, said the Cardinals have to draft him. It wouldn't be a successful draft unless they got Cam Scatterbo. Well, guess what? The Arizona Cardinals got praised for one of the best drafts in the NFL. And you know what they didn't do? Take any running back. They barely even took offensive players. Johnny, you are completely wrong. My verdict is guilty. And your punishment, you have to get a Cam Scatterbo New York Giants jersey that looks like this and wear this abomination on Sundays because you were so wrong. And that's your punishment, Johnny. And let's pass some judgment on our next victim. I think we're going to go with our friend Derek Montilla and Kevin Thomas back from the Diamondback show. And Kevin said on Twitter, "Can we agree that cereal is for children?" To which Derek responded, "This is the worst take he's ever had, and I'm just not going to let him get away with it." I'm passing judgment here, and I find in favor of the mayor, Derek Montilla. Why are we saying cereal's just for children? It's not. You know what my favorite dinner to have when my family's out of town? A nice bowl of cereal. But I don't have to cook, and I get to enjoy it. Cereal isn't just for kids. And Kevin, you know what your punishment is? You have to eat cereal next week at lunch, and Shane's going to film it so we can show the people.
Oh, God.
And I get to decide what the cereal is. So get ready, Kevin, because you're guilty. Move on to the next one here, Shane. My courtroom moves fast, and I'm not ready to put up with some of this. So what do we got next here, Shane? You pick.
About being able to find a way to get butts in seats. It's doing exactly what Bobby Hurley has done over the last 2 months.
Yeah.
And that is going out of his way to find a way to increase NIL at ASU, going out of his way in terms of donors, going out of his way in terms of getting 5-star after 5-star. Jaden Quaintance was the highest rated commit in Arizona State basketball history. And that wasn't enough for Bobby Hurley. He said, bet, I'm not finished yet. I'm going to go ahead, get the number 5 shooting guard in the nation in the class of 2024. And just the icing on the cake is he was previously committed to the West.
You know what, Toe Tree? Bet. I'm going to give you okay on the beard. I like the beard. But the take, not very good, my friend. You're guilty of a really, really bad take because guess what? That didn't put butts in the seats and it didn't put wins in the win column. ASU finished 12th in attendance in the Big 12. Yeah, there's 16 teams, so they weren't dead last. But nobody came to see that basketball team because they weren't any good. You were high on Bobby Hurley's recruiting, and it led to nothing. So your punishment, Mr. Toe Tree, I'm forcing you to watch every ASU basketball game next year. And I'm still deciding if I'm going to suspend your pay, and you just have to do it because I said so. What's next, Shane, on the docket?
Walk into a team meeting and say, you guys need to shoot 35, 40 3-pointers per game. And it's another thing to sit down and say, here is how you're going to shoot 35, 40 3-pointers a game. Buttonomics is working.
It is. And it's something that we've heard going back to the summer when we talked to Josh Bartelstein, at Media Day when we talked to Matt Ishbia and James Jones and everybody when they were ranting and raving about how good Bud has been before they had even had a practice yet. The attention to detail, it's in every step. And you can see it on the court because, like I mentioned, it's not just addressing the problem areas that we saw in the first half, specific things like the offensive rebounding or the turnovers or whatever it might be. It's also finding different ways to get their guys in advantageous positions and utilizing their different skills. It feels like there is a more calculated approach in how they're doing that. There's a more cohesive understanding of, okay, I know what this guy does well, what this guy does well, and how I can maximize those skills.
Oh, my sweet, sweet, naive PHNX Suns hosts. Buttonomics was a recession, a massive recession, a recession that led you to 10 games under 500. You guys are guilty of one of the worst basketball takes I heard this year, because that show took place on October 31st. And sure, the Suns were 4-1 at the time, but they finished 31-45 after that. And Buttonomics, from a three-point percentage standpoint, is actually, they shot three-pointers well, and it still didn't work. Buttonomics sucked. And you guys, my punishment, Eric Ruby has to dress as a banana again on a program over the next week or two. And Gerald actually finally has to show up to work again on Monday after a month off.
Wow, that's rude.
I know his wife had a baby, but you know what? You have to actually show up and talk about this team, Gerald. That's your punishment. Steven, you're off the hook because you smartly kept your mouth shut and didn't say anything about Budnomics during that clip. But my favorite thing that I'm going to pass judgment on the docket here today is the next one. Shane, will you please?
Go ahead, get on your soapbox, man.
Chat. And if there are any tech fans in here, please validate me on this, or maybe argue against it. I don't know. Are they slip resistant? Is that not super dangerous throwing tortillas on the field? This is already one of the most dangerous plays in football, the kick return or the kickoff. You're throwing tortillas on a field that's not only not real grass, but it's turf. A tortilla on turf. If you step on it, it's gonna slip. Is it not? It's like a banana peel.
I just don't think they can throw them that far.
I saw multiple on the field, not past the out of bounds line. Multiple during the play.
You feel a type of way about them tortillas, man.
Because it's not the reason. It's not the tortilla. The tortillas piss me off. But what pisses me off more is that nobody's talking about it. How is this not first of all, how has nobody gotten hurt? I'm glad nobody has.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's just.
I think it's cool.
Something's waiting to happen. It's a fun idea.
Nobody should be that mad about tortillas unless they go to an authentic Mexican restaurant and they bring out some of them store-bought crappy tortillas. Otherwise, a tortilla take like this is not hot. It's just awful. And Shane, nobody's gotten hurt from a tortilla.
How is it awful?
It's just a dumb take, Shane.
So, okay, well, here, let's argue about this. If you saw a fan throwing something on the field, would you say something? If you threw a water bottle on the field, would you say something?
if there is a projectile of dangerous nature, of course. But you know what bothers me is you go on this rant on the ASU show. You know where the tortilla throwing tradition started?
Yeah, I've
At
heard.
ASU
I've
in
heard.
1996
I've
for
heard.
Juan Roque.
I've heard.
All right, and you know why they stopped? It wasn't
dangerous.
because they feared that the tortilla was dangerous. They feared it would lead to people throwing other objects onto the field.
Yeah.
Not because somebody was going to slip on
Inherently
a tortilla.
Bad idea. Still bad idea because it can lead to more dangerous things. Who's to say somebody's...
But that wasn't your argument. Your argument was the tortilla was the dangerous
that's what I'm saying.
thing.
Okay, they're throwing tortillas. What about big tortillas next? XL tortillas next?
Well, you're not going to be able to get a big and XL tortilla onto the field.
Yes, you
That's
are.
like throwing a parachute. Like, you're not going to get that on the field.
What if you harden it a little bit and it turns into a frisbee?
Yeah, and then what if you tie a rock to it and throw it? Like, now we're just getting into hypotheticals.
What started this was the fact that when I was watching the game during the kickoff return, I saw 3 or 4 of them passed in the field of play where the 20-yard line is. So hold on before you start. If somebody stepped on them going at full speed, you already lose traction in the turf. You already slip, and that's how serious injuries happen. That can make it worse. That's my argument.
They're wearing cleats.
Yes,
Shay.
cleats
Go
already
straight through a tortilla.
Cleats already slip on turf. This adds less traction.
Let me say, if they're throwing guacamole, if they're throwing sour cream, liquid-like substances that go with a tortilla, then we can have a chat.
No.
But Shane, would you like to hear what your
What's my punishment?
what your punishment is for a show next week? You've got to walk on 2 tortillas from your office to your desk over there behind the Mac.
Okay, I will.
And we will film it. And if you fall, there is no workman's comp because you're making that decision yourself.
There is. That's you're sentencing me to it. I think there would be workman's comp.
That is passing judgment, and court is adjourned. Thank you. I gotta get this wig off. Thank you all for joining me today on the program. Shane, should we let the people behind the curtain a little bit about tomorrow? God, my hair is awful. I don't know where I put my hat. We're gonna put on this one.
Yeah, we can.
So tomorrow, I want to let you know, if any big news breaks, we're faking that we're live tomorrow. We will have a show at 11 a.m. that we're going to pre-record because my daughter is doing podcast camp. Yeah, that's a real thing through the city of Mesa. And I am going to watch her do her show live. And as much as I love you guys, I love the fact that she decided I want to be like daddy and I want to host a podcast. And I'm betting it might be better than this one. So I'm going to be there to watch it live. But if Kevin Durant news breaks, if there is a trade, because there have been murmurs that it's getting close, we will not run the show and I will come do the show live after that podcast. But I just wanted to pull back the curtain. But we will be doing an entire show answering your questions. So if you're a diehard, get in the Discord and leave your question there. If not, you can tweet me at Espo or the show at PHNX_sports. You can also hit that voicemail bag that we gave you the phone number earlier. You can check that out. You can leave a voicemail. You can text the show at any time of day, 480-535-0425. That's 480-535-0425. Call or text anytime you want there as well. It comes directly to me. We're going to answer all your questions tomorrow. Shane, any final thoughts?
I look, I just think that you need to do some more research into physics because just how, you know what we should do? We should go to a turf field and test this theory.
Sports science style.
Yes. RIP,
Okay.
by the way.
Yes, RIP. We will do that, Shane. We will find an artificial turf. We'll go sports science style on the tortilla. So
And we're going to do it in 120-degree weather.
Well, maybe the turf will melt onto the tortilla. It'll get real dangerous.
Yeah, and exactly. See, you just said it could be dangerous.
If we get some really crappy
If
tortillas
there's
that
something,
melt into turf.
if there's something that could be dangerous, why would you want it near a football player?
Anything could be dangerous. Football's dangerous.
Exactly.
Defense hitting the other guy's dangerous. It's all dangerous.
Whatever.
He's the mustache behind the Mac with the terrible tortilla takes. I'm Espo. Follow me on Twitter at Espo. Follow the show at PHNX_sports. And until next time, remember, some things are bigger than sports, like your daughter hosting her own podcast. Ahoy, hoy.
like the mayor.